That's right. Thank you, Gina. Um, so I'm super excited to have Don Yoakum on. I've known Don for over 20 years now, and we keep running into each other because we're at the same company, and he does some incredible coaching and life-changing things for people. And we were actually by the pool in Cabo, and he said, "Hey, Rick, I got this class where I show people how to sell more houses using professional networking." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's something that a lot of people could use." So I invited him on here immediately. We are recording it, of course. We're not forgetting to record it, thanks to Gina, so that we can also let other people watch this. So I'm Don. Now you probably know a lot more about this subject than I do, and I'm, like I said, very excited to hear about it. Would you start by telling everybody just a quick background, how long you've been in real estate? And I know you've covered different areas of real estate, but certainly the last many, many years you've been coaching brokerages, brokers, agents, and all kinds of things. So go for it.
Absolutely, sure. Yeah, well, my first full year in real estate was 1990. In that year, I closed 51 deals with RE/MAX and had a nice career with them. And I worked through the 90s, which you may recall. I think you were in the business during that time too, Rick. It was at least in Sacramento, it was a pretty down market, very much unlike today's market. We had 18 to 24 months of inventory. So to achieve my sales, I had to maintain at least 30 active listings, and I did so and had a nice career through the 90s. And then in 2000, I joined Keller Williams. I became the first team leader in Roseville, took that office from 10 to 184 agents in 27 months. That office actually went on to become the most profitable KW in the franchise system at one point. And I think I'm the only person that has successfully built 10 KWs from the ground up. And so that was a good run at KW. I did, as you heard again in Cabo, I did make the mistake of acquiring 21 more in 2006. And that led to a pretty perilous journey during the real estate crash. And it was a great learning opportunity for me and very humbling, I would add. And I did manage to get through that. Had to close 6 offices, sell 5 below my basis, but we did get that portfolio back to profitability. My offices that I had built did fine, but the ones that I had bought 14 that needed turning around. So that was a pretty challenging time, and it soured me, to be honest, a little bit on KW, because I had felt like I had done a lot for them and didn't exactly feel like they had my back on the downside. but it's okay. I still am grateful for all I learned at that company, for sure. And became a coach in 2010. And that's probably why we're talking today, is because I became very passionate about professional networking. And, I just have felt like our industry has, it's like as though there is a buffet. The realtor brings the food, everybody else brings a fork. And it's just kind of maddening to me. And I have coached people successfully through the years on professional networking, and it has made it possible for me to show people how to get professional referrals. And so that's really my intention today, is to share with you some strategies so that you could add at least a transaction a month through professional referral. And of course, Rick, I'm now at EXP, and I have built a significant organization there. I'll eclipse 1,000 this year. I'm just about to break 800. So thank you. I'm excited about that, and got some really amazing people in my organization. And so that's my story.
Great. Well, talk to us a little bit about this. I love the line that you just said. I don't know if anybody of you guys heard that, but the part about what did you say about the realtor brings the buffet and everyone else brings the fork? Is that because we make the mortgage industry go, we make the title and escrow and home warranty and inspections and everything? Is that what you mean by that, or?
100%. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think
expand
that,
on that, if you will. That's a really good, a really advanced thought, if you will, about what, what we do. So,
yeah, well, it is, it's just, I think, and by the way, we're a bit in fault here, especially you folks in the Bay Area. You're making really big commissions. And as a result of that, I think there's a perception in the industry that realtors like to perpetuate, is that we're making a gazillion dollars. And in fact, we are well compensated on a deal that we get paid on an individual transaction relative to the other folks in the deal. But actually, when you look at the average income of a realtor, I don't think it even is on par with the other affiliates. Lenders make far more money as a rule than realtors do. But because there's a perception that we do, and here's the number one problem: it's a supply and demand issue. We outnumber everybody, okay? And because of that, it is like a buyer's market for them. And so as a result of that, we have a tendency to feed the industry. And that was my comment of, feels like we're all going to a buffet. The realtor brings the food, everybody else brings a fork. And I think for us that have been in the business for a minute or more, that is the experience that we have. And it's completely inappropriate, in my opinion, because we all have the same customer. So why wouldn't we engage in more of a reciprocal referral relationship and have professional introductions? And by the way, one of the takeaways for those of you that are taking notes, I want to just bring to your awareness that if you are going to embark on professional networking, one of the distinctions that you're going to want to make is the distinction between a referral and a professional introduction. And the reason why I say that is because I'm going to give you some strategies to get referrals from CPAs, financial advisors, and attorneys, insurance brokers, lenders, etc. But I will tell you that particularly the CPAs, financial advisors, and attorneys are apprehensive about referring realtors. We don't enjoy a stellar reputation. We're just about one click above the car salesperson. And so what you want to do if you're going to engage in a relationship with one of those folks is you want to speak in terms of introduction as opposed to referral. A referral is more of an implied endorsement. That makes them nervous. A introduction is an introduction, okay? And it infers that actually the person that's being introduced should do some due diligence. And so it's a small distinction, but I have found it to be an important one if you're going to get referrals from that class of professional. So Rick, would you like me to, well, I'll just launch in on how I think these guys should approach this. And
this seems like, Don, is this something that, because when we talked about it in Cabo, it seemed like something that was something that you had a lot of passion around, because it adds transactions where people are saying, either, I could use more clients. Obviously, most everybody we have people on here from all over the United States and Canada, and everybody across the board is dealing with low inventory. And, my wife, who is also a coach, looks at it like, when people say there's low inventory, she says, did someone burn a bunch of houses down? Meaning that there's so many people out there that have houses that maybe we didn't say to them, hey, are you thinking of selling? And a lot of them, like my brother accuses me of having my head he says, other than real estate, your head is in the sand. Like, you don't even pay attention to what's going on anywhere else. And that's true for a lot of people, that they're not aware that the market has shifted, or that their home is worth so much more than they thought it was worth, et cetera. So in a market, the one thing I like to bring is value, and you're that same kind of person. So bringing the value of another way to get transactions through the professional networking. I loved it when I heard the concept. So yeah, if you want to launch in, that would be great. I'm really excited personally about, your ideas, because I know you are probably one of the top coaches out there, and you're doing amazing things by helping people change the outcome of their business. So
Yeah, well, thank you. And I do feel, well, first of all, I just want to say you can tell your brother that you do know who the A's are,
Yeah.
okay? So your head's not that too far in the sand, okay? And so, well, let's start with the asset-based professionals. And so again, for those taking notes, the asset-based professionals, of course, would begin with the realtor, right? The asset being the home. And then we have CPA, financial advisor, attorney. There's 3 different types of attorneys that you primarily want to focus on. Unfortunately, the number 1 is divorce. Number 2 is estate, and number 3 is bankruptcy. By the way, just as an aside, one of my agents in Colorado one year got 13 deals just from one bankruptcy attorney. Okay, so and I would say that realtors and lenders, number 1 referral source in most cases is a divorce attorney. When there's a divorce, 52% of the time there's a sale of a property involved. So that is a wonderful one. I will say those transactions tend to have a little bit more friction. It's kind of like 2 transactions in one. But if you have the temperament to handle that, then that's a fantastic source. And I will tell you, another asset-based professional that has emerged is assisted living managers. Okay, I interviewed a gentleman the other day out of Colorado. Conrad Steller is his name, and from one development, they're getting 30 listings a year. Okay, and they have relationship with 5 developments. So if you are not in relationship with an assisted living manager, you know, the intake people that will consult with the families as they're considering moving a member into an assisted living residence, you ought to be, because that is a really, really good one. So that's the asset-based professionals. Now, I will tell you, the good news for you guys is that most of those professionals are currently not referring, okay? And even though the typical CPA has roughly 500 clients, and by the way, when people use CPAs, they tend to own their own home. So if you just do that math and people move every 10 years, the average CPA has someone listing their home every single week. And that's just primary residence. That's not counting second homes or income property. Okay, but Rick, I presume that you have somebody do your taxes, huh? Do you have a CPA that prepares your taxes?
I do.
Okay, now it might be slightly different because they probably know you're a realtor, but I'm still gonna ask the question. When you go to the tax preparer, they will ask you, Rick, did you buy or sell a home last year? Or it'll be on a little checklist, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, now, do they say, are you planning to buy or sell a home in the coming tax year?
Mine does, yeah. Or ask
Okay.
us, well, what major asset purchases might we be doing in the coming year? She actually
Okay.
just asked us that last week.
Well, you should tell your CPA then that she's in the top 2% because 98% don't do it. Now, part of it might be that you are of more significant means, especially these days. And so she knows you've got a lot of moving parts. But I will tell you, most CPAs do not ask that question, but that is the magic question. Okay. And so for all of the asset-based professionals that I've just named, the question that if you're going to get them to be a productive partner, the question that you need to have them ask is, do you intend to buy or sell a property in the coming tax year? Okay. Now, the next thing is, if the person says yes, then you want them to do a professional introduction. You're not to give your business cards to anyone, by the way, okay? Because what will happen is then they will hand them out and the cards will be lost and the people won't call, but yet the person, that professional, will think they have referred you, okay? When your professionals have asked that question to unearth that opportunity, you need them to do a 3-way text introduction. This is important. Okay. Now, on the vendor side, the professionals that I want you to think about is I want you to ask yourself, okay, what does somebody do right before they list their home? I refer to this as a trigger event. Okay, so they paint, they landscape, they remodel, they trim trees. I have got an agent in Southern California that it got 4 deals from his window washer last year. Okay. I've got an agent in Colorado that gets 3 to 4 listings a year. His average sales price is 800,000 plus from a painter. Okay, I want you guys to think about that. When does somebody paint their home? It's 1 of 3 times. They are preparing it for sale, they have deferred maintenance, or they just bought it and they want to kind of make it their own. It's just one of those 3 scenarios. Okay, so let me tell you, if you are driving through a neighborhood and you see a home is being painted, hit the brakes on the car and go and ask what has prompted that job. And that is the question that you need to change to train your vendors. Okay, so remember, the question for the asset-based professionals was, do you plan to buy or sell in the next tax year? The questions for vendors is, may I ask what has prompted you to paint your home? You know, because Rick, if you're thinking of selling right away, we'll use a quality paint, but maybe not the most expensive one. And we're going to do a fine job, but maybe not go to the same cost and detail as if you tell me you're going to be here for another 10 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, when they say, and they will say about 25% of the time, well, actually, yeah, we're moving to Tennessee. Not necessarily Tennessee, but they're moving somewhere. Okay. Your painter is to say the following. Well, as you can imagine, painting is one of the things that will help bring up the value of your home. That being said, I have a real estate colleague of mine that can come out at no cost or obligation and show you how to optimize your home for sale. And to be candid, in this market, probably tell you things you don't need to bother with. Okay.
Right.
Would you like me to make an introduction for you? Okay. Notice I didn't say referral. Okay. Notice I didn't say, can I give them your phone number? It's, can I do an introduction? And when they say yes, say great. Just look for a text intro. Boom. And you just have them make the assumption that a text intro is going to be fine. Now you have their phone number. Okay. So if you can train those vendors, I'm telling you, if you just train one painter, you'll get 3 to 4 deals a year just from the painter. By the way, a decent painter paints 4 to 5 properties a month. Do the math on that. Okay. That means they have somebody, they're painting a home that's going on the market every single month of the year. Okay. So now the next thing you might be asking yourself is, yeah, but Don, that painter is probably painting homes and getting referrals from a dozen realtors. How do I differentiate myself from the other real estate professionals? And I'm only doing a deal a month. Some of the realtors that are referring them might be doing 3, 5, 7 deals a month. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a story about a mastermind that I facilitated for a group of professionals. And to get in this mastermind, the professionals had to be earning at least $250,000 a year. And so I had a CPA, a financial advisor, an attorney, an insurance broker, a lender, realtor, etc. By the way, someone put in the chat a junk removal. And by the way, that's spot on. I'm taking care of my mom's estate right now. I ordered a 40-yard dumpster to be delivered to the house. And we filled that sucker up. And guess what? That home is going on the market in about 2 months. Right? So yes, that is a trigger event. And so good call on that one, whoever put that in the chat. Okay, so what we've got here is me needing to get back on my train of thought. I left off with the painter. What did I say last, Rick?
You were Yeah,
Go
you were
ahead.
saying about you had an agent that,
Oh, the mastermind, the
that you led a
mastermind.
mastermind, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
You
Okay.
facilitated
Okay. This is what happens when you've been in the business too long, by the way.
it. All the examples flow together.
Oh, okay. So I'm facilitating a mastermind, and I go around the room and I ask them, okay, to whom do you refer the most, and from whom do you get the most referrals? We get to the financial advisor, and the guy says, well, I've referred my CPA over 300 times. And if you guys didn't hear that over Rick's cough, it was this guy, this financial advisor had referred the CPA 300 times. Now, all of us in the room had attained a high level of success, but you can imagine we're suddenly thinking, man, I want to be that guy's best friend, right? And by the way, here's a little tip for you. I have found that connecting that personality type and doing referrals and introductions, it is kind of a DNA thing. And so, and I'm going to give you guys some questions to uncover whether or not the person you're talking to has the DNA. But let's go on. So this guy says, yeah, 300 times. Now it turns out it was over 20 years. So that's an incredible amount of referrals. And as a matter of fact, he told us he had referred that CPA so much, he eventually filled up that guy's practice. And that is an important thing I have found with CPAs. A CPA will not be a productive referral partner if they don't want to grow their practice. Okay, so you want somebody that is really good and still hungry. Okay, but
Don, let me interject there.
Yeah.
It would probably sound crazy to think that a CPA wouldn't want to grow their business, but Don is talking truth, guys. A lot of them have a client base and they're completely good. So I was taught many years ago that you need to say, are you open to growing your business with referrals from me?
That's 100%. And
yeah,
and here's the thing that kind of sucks. Of all the professionals, and I've identified about 106 that we could potentially have reciprocal referral relationships with, the CPA is probably the most influential, and they're the least likely to refer because the majority of them are old and they have practices that are full. And to Rick's point, it really, they're just not going to be a great partner if they don't have the appetite for more business. So you do really need to assess these partners before you engage in this kind of relationship. But anyway, back to my financial advisor. Okay, so here's what I want you to think about is, can you imagine being the realtor that introduced that financial advisor to that CPA? Okay. Do you see how indirectly you would have made 300 deposits in the relationship of the CPA? And oh, by the way, the CPA reciprocated. So you actually get double credit. Now, he didn't reciprocate 300 times, I did ask, but he did reciprocate a lot. Those are two really awesome partners. And that's something else that I want you to think. But before I jump there, I just want to emphasize this point. So if you're wondering, how do I get those referrals from the painter? You need to ask yourself, what is a trigger event for someone that's about to paint? Okay, in other words, I told you that a trigger event for listing is painting, but what is a trigger event for painting? Well, how about remodeling? How about sheetrock? How about flooring? Okay, the point is that what you need to do if you want to endear yourself to one of these professionals is you need to ask them what would make the best referral partner for you. By the way, those professionals probably know. And remember, I told you a minute ago, I was going to share with you some secrets on if this person would be good. And as Rick and I have emphasized to you, number one, qualification is they got to want to grow. Actually, the first qualification is, do they provide relationship-based service? If they treat their clients like a commodity, they suck, and they're not going to they're not going to be a good relationship-based referral partner. Okay. So job one is taking care of the client. Job two is they want to grow. Okay. Now, though, how do I find that out before I commit to this relationship? I would go to that. I say, so Rick, who do you refer the most to, and from whom do you get the most referrals? And in the case of a realtor, they probably refer a lender the most, or a title insurance company the most. Okay. And oftentimes realtors don't get that many professional referrals, but they probably do in some cases. I'm guessing, Rick, with the tenure in the business. I'm just curious, though, what would your answer to that be, Rick? What professionals have referred you over the years?
Well, I would probably say that my painter has referred me a lot, and listening to you, I'm here taking notes on my phone. I realize that I haven't done the things to continue to get him to refer me business. The other person that's referred me quite a lot was back when my sister was a caterer in Fremont, in my sort of local area where she was a wedding planner, and a lot of married couples or newly married couples were buying homes. And I would
100%.
get 3 to 6 referrals a year from her. I remember about 12 or 15 years ago taking my insurance agent out and saying to him, I said, hey man, I got to catch up with you. It's been a while. You got a minute to grab a cup of coffee? And I learned that at a seminar also myself. And I said, hey, look, I refer you a lot of people, but I want you to know I don't refer them in expectation of you referring me back. I do it because I know you'll take great care of them. You've been my insurance agent for so many years. Just wondering, I know you know a lot of realtors. Is there any chance I could rely on you for maybe 1 referral a year? And after that lunch, I got 2 to 3 referrals a year for about 4 or 5 years. And I'm realizing now I need to take them to lunch again. Right. So,
well, not only do you need to take them to lunch, but I'm going to teach you a question to ask him that he's going to need to ask his clients. And sure, you've hit on a hot button for me. Because of all of the professions, you know how I said CPAs are the most respected, most influential?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, insurance agents are the greatest parasites. Okay.
Nothing against anybody on here that might be an insurance agent, of course.
Not at all. Not at all. And I am speaking in generalities. Okay.
Okay.
But as a rule, insurance are all about getting referrals, and they're not at all concerned about giving referrals. Okay. But there are some shining examples that are not. I once was coaching a farmer's agent in Colorado, and I taught her this question, and I'm going to teach, Rick, you this question and your folks, so that you can get a lot more than 3 or 4 deals, or a deal a year. Okay. First of all, remember I said, before you agree to be in a relationship with a professional, you need to ask some questions. Okay. One is, to whom do you refer the most, and who do you get the most referrals from? If you talk to the insurance agent and they can't come up with somebody they refer, okay,
yeah,
the party stops right there. Okay, because they don't have referral DNA. Okay,
yeah.
but if they give you an answer, then we continue in the conversation. Say, well, that's fantastic. I'm just kind of curious, how many households do you serve? By the way, in the insurance industry, that's the jargon. They go by household serve, and by the way, you want a person that has not less than 500 homeowners. Okay, now I have coached insurance brokers that have as many as 3,000. Okay, but let's go back to our math equation. If somebody sells their home every 10 years and your insurance person has 500 homeowners, do you realize they have a client listing their home every week of the year? Every week.
Wow.
Okay, now, if you went tomorrow without any training to an insurance agent, and like Rick did, and said, hey, could you occasionally refer me? He said it in a much nicer way. Okay, but he's basically asking for referrals. what you're going to hear 90x% of the time is, well, Don, I'd love to, but I tend to find out about the transaction right before it's closing. It's too late. Okay. Well, what I want to tell you is that's bunk. Okay. So here is what you want to know. This insurance agents have 500 clients, and you only are interested in doing business with an insurance agent that personally speaks with their client for the renewal. Farmers calls it the Farmers Friendly Review, which, by the way, is code for, I'm going to call you up, get you to renew the policy, and hopefully upsell you into another policy. Okay. And what I have found in big practices like that guy that had 3,000 clients, it's okay. It's totally okay if they have an assistant call for the review. Doesn't have to be them, because the question I'm going to train you to have them ask, really simple. Okay. But Rick, after I do the Farmers Friendly Review with you, I'm going to say, hey, Rick, by the way, how are you in Casey like in your place? Are you settled in there a while?
Not really.
Yeah. Are you thinking of making a move?
No, we're just not done settling in where we're living. So.
Okay. So, but what I want you guys to hear is, are you settled in there? I said, how are you like in your place?
Oh,
Because
I see what you mean. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Do you see how we've been talking about your home and we're insuring your home? And I said, by the way, it's just kind of like this matter of fact question. By the way, how are you guys like in your place? Are you settled in there a while? Which is code for, are you going to sell this year?
I get it.
Okay. Now, when you say, well, actually, yeah, we're planning to make a move. And then your insurance person is going to say, wonderful. Would you like me to make an introduction for you to a professional that could come out and show you how to optimize your home for sale? And before he does that, he's going to, or she's going to say, oh, fantastic. Where are you going? By the way, I would want to know about that anyway, because if it's in a state where I'm licensed, I want to get that new policy as well. Okay. But my point is that if you get your insurance agent to personally talk to the client and then do their little Farmers Friendly Review, and then right before they hang up, just ask that question, there you go. 4 to 6 deals a year. Okay. Easy peasy. And just again, to restate the math, that if somebody has 500 clients and there's 250 working days in the year, in order for them to have personalized service, they only have to call 2 people a day. Okay.
Wow.
But if you think about people moving every 10 years, if they're calling 2 people a day, in 5 days, statistically, every 5 days, they're going to be talking to someone that is moving this calendar year. And that's why I get so irritated by insurance people that are not referring us. And so get them, if they want to ask that question, just get yourself a new insurance agent. Okay. And so I want to go back to, though, the person that might be saying, okay, that sounds great. If I introduce my financial advisor to my CPA, that might endear me to the CPA. And okay, I'm going to start thinking about how I can connect other people. In fact, here's the reputation I want you to get. I want you to become the connector. Okay. And you want to be known as the person that are making these valuable connections and making these deposits in others' relationship, because I'm telling you, you're not personally doing enough volume to move the needle to get that professional to refer all their business to you. And so there's going to be there's another strategy I want to give you on how to get business from a professional, even though they have multiple people. So, Rick, if you are my CPA, and you say, well, Dawn, gosh, love you. I know I've been doing your taxes for decades and I'd like to refer you, but gosh, I'm doing taxes for something, I don't know, I must be doing taxes for a dozen different realtors. And I would say to you, well, Rick, that makes sense. I mean, you're a great CPA, so I could see why people would want you to do their taxes. Tell me though, besides myself, who is the most prolific referrer as a realtor to you? And then they're going to say, oh, well, and by the way, if you guys are not asking clients that are coming from out of state or out of area, once they get settled in, if they'd like to be introduced to your CPA that you know and trust, you need to start doing that, okay? So I'm training you how to train your affiliates, but you need to be doing that too, okay? So that, because you need to be personally referring that CPA. But when Rick says to me, well, Don, I've got this agent I've been doing taxes for 25 years. And I say, okay, well, where do they live? And they're going to say San Ramon. And my response to that is going to be, well, wonderful. It's a great area. How about this? Whenever you come across a client that's going to buy or sell in San Ramon, send them to that person. Okay. And use my question, because your realtor is going to love you for that. Okay. Which is, do you plan to buy or sell in the coming year? But if they're going to move in, if they're in Fremont, okay, I want to be your guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I call that is segmenting and then also focusing the reticular activator. And so that when they come across somebody that is going to buy or sell in Fremont, they think of Rick. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how you can do that.
Okay,
So Rick,
Don, we have Lindsay has her hand up real quick. I think she wants to.
yeah,
ask a question.
as a matter of fact, this is a great time to have some interaction. So Lindsay, let's start having some other questions. Go ahead.
My question is, how do you keep all of these people organized? Like, what is your system behind it?
That's a great question. Okay, so if you guys didn't take note before, there are 15 professionals that I ideally want you to have in your community. And I'm gonna list them real quick from the top. Realtor, lender, CPA, property and casualty insurance, financial planner, 3 different attorneys, estate, bankruptcy, and divorce, assisted living manager, property manager. By the way, property managers are great, especially if they manage residential homes. Remember, if they're managing 300 properties, they have 30 people listing them every year. But you got to make sure they don't do brokerage. Okay. Painter, landscaper, contractor that ideally focuses on remodeling, flooring, and tree trimmer. Although you could add window washer to that list. I do have an agent that got 4 deals from a window washer last year. Okay, so how do we organize them, Lindsay? Is you do 1 meeting a month. Okay, my favorite meeting now to do is what I call an expert panel event. So I just facilitated this for one of my agents, and what it is, it's a Zoom event, because that's quite the thing these days. And you, and we did, the one we did last month was on acquiring a short-term rental and turning it into an Airbnb. Or acquiring a second home and turning it into a short-term rental via Airbnb. And so we had a realtor, we had a lender, we had an Airbnb ambassador on the line, and ideally we would have had an insurance agent. Okay, we didn't. But you have, like Lindsay, what would you say is your personal database? You know, your sphere of influence, past clients. What count would you give yourself for that?
250.
Okay, that's pretty good. My goal for my clients is to get to 300. So you're well on your way. But and here's something I want you guys to be thinking of. I want to be the real estate resource realtor of choice for 300. Okay, because people move every 10 years, there's 30 sales a year right there. Okay, but why I like the expert panel event, and maybe this will help you get from 250 to 300, like a split, is because in order to get onto the expert panel, everyone has to promote the event to their sphere of influence and customer bases. Well, remember, the insurance agent has 500, the lender has 250, 300. The Airbnb person may have a few hundred. Okay, you could have a CPA on there. Ideally, by the way, expert panel, you don't want to have more than 4 panelists. But my point is that, do you see how with Lindsay being on this expert panel, she's being exposed to, let's say, 750 other people in addition to her sphere. So not only is her sphere learning that she's going to be a featured panelist, but she's being positioned as the sole realtor to these other groups. So to answer your question, Lindsay, one way I organize them is per quarter, I want to be on a expert panel event once per quarter, and you just choose different professionals, right? So one of them could be on acquiring a second home, turning it into short-term rental. Another one could be on leverage, building a portfolio and utilizing tax-deferred exchanges. You could make, how do you make a home green? How do you remodel it? It just so happens that every time there's always a need for a realtor. Okay, but so one event per quarter is expert panel. One event per quarter is mastermind. So ideally, you've got these 15 professionals from that list I gave you, and you meet once a month and you just share best practices and 3 easy subjects. First of all, one of you hosts, okay? And whoever is host gets to be the feature. And you essentially mastermind around, what is that person doing well? What are they really challenged by? And what are their opportunities for growth? And then as a group, you guys mastermind on that. You get together and you have dialogue and exchange of ideas. Okay, the third event in the quarter is for you all to just get behind some community event. It could be a big football game. It could be a dance recital that benefits a particular organization, but something in that community that you all want to support. Ideally, what you do is you buy an extra half dozen tickets for it, and you do an email to your entire sphere and say, hey, there's this wonderful event going on for our community. I bought an extra half dozen tickets. If you're one of the first 6 people to get a hold of me, I'm going to give you one for free. If you miss out on that, use this link and come and join us. We'll be there on such and such a date and time. So you organize them by having one structured event per month, and you do those 3 events and you rinse and repeat all year long. Does that make sense? Cool, great question. I'd love another question. And I'd also love to hear, is anybody else gotten, like Rick has gotten referrals from his painter. He's gotten some from his insurance broker, although it's been a minute. Is anybody else on the line that can share an example of a professional that has referred them? Usually a lender is a pretty good resource.
Yeah, Shauna, could you speak up to that, since I know you get lots of referrals from your property manager friend and your attorney friend, and Shauna's great at
I
it.
always ask. So I get probably a referral a year from a divorce attorney who was unfortunately my divorce attorney. I told him I need to pay his bill, and he laughed, and I asked him, do realtors ask you for business? He said, no, I think realtors are scared of attorneys. So I get business from him. And then I get business from my property manager. I get business from my painter, lender. Yeah, I've gotten to the point where, and Rick and I talked about this because, I work with him every day on his stuff. And I go, is that person referring you? You send him a lot of business. No, they haven't referred me. And I'm like, they're cut. No.
I like you.
We're going to use people that use us. That's how we're doing this.
Well, and here's the thing, okay? I have found, I love your attitude. That being said, I'm being very candid with you guys. And if you, what I have found the best way to go to them is to trick them into being a productive referrer. Okay, and when I say that is, it's a little hard to just go to them and say, hey, I've been referring you, so I want you to refer me. Okay. Instead, what you can say is, gosh, I love referring you. You do a great job, and I'd like to continue doing that. I would just ask one question. When you go out on a job, would you just be willing to ask what has prompted them to paint their home? Okay, and when they say it's because we're moving, just offer, I trained you guys on the script a moment ago, so I'm not going to reiterate it now, but then just introduce me, that's all. Right? And if it's on the asset side, will you just ask them, are they planning to buy or sell in the coming year? Right? In other words, you're not saying, hey, you got to send me referrals. I'm just saying, will you just ask the question? And if you can get them to ask that question, it is amazing the flow that will be unearthed as a result of that. And then if they will follow that question when they get an affirmative with a text introduction, that's money. Yeah, no, that's great though.
Yeah.
And so stay on Rick though, okay?
He gets a lot of professional. I mean, he definitely has an amazing network of where business comes from. So,
right.
But sometimes they just Rick has been able to help change people's business. He's introduced people to real estate, and they've become amazing people in the industry, and then they get really big, and then maybe they lose touch, and it just kind of goes by the wayside. So it's just a reminder.
Well, and one of the things about Rick is, and he might remember this comment I made to him many moons ago, is that Rick doesn't necessarily keep track. Okay, he's a giver. Okay, there's a great book, by the way, on this subject. It's called Give and Take by Adam Grant. 60% of the population are traders, 20% are takers, and 20% are givers. Okay, well, because Rick's a giver, he'll just give and give, and he's not going to keep track. And all of a sudden, one day he's going to wake up and go, well, wait a second. I guess I haven't gotten any referrals from those guys in the last 17 years. Okay.
He's
So
the biggest. I've never met anyone in this industry that gives more than this man.
No, I know.
Like, I mean, I've known him 28 years. Like, I'm telling you, 100%.
Yeah, could we make the call about something else besides me now? So
well,
but the good news is he has a team now, and team people that like really advocate for him and say, you're giving and you're giving and you're giving. We're gonna find a way to get a little back from your giving for you. And we just kind of say, hey, did you like Rick? Great. If you know anyone, we really would love, for you to, and I like that. I really like the line of, we would love a professional introduction instead of a referral. I love that.
I like that idea. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
That change, especially when you're working with business professionals like attorneys, CPAs, they really don't like the word referral.
No.
So that was a huge aha for me.
Yeah, thank you for that, Dawn. That's the one of my biggest takeaways right there from today.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, who else has questions, thoughts, comments, ahas? It's 9:52. We have to be off about 9:56. So let's really give Dawn kudos by saying, Dawn, tell me more about this. It's anyone?
I got a question.
Yeah,
yes.
Ryan.
So I don't know a window washer. I don't know a tree trimmer. What would be some good tactics to break into those industries where maybe I don't have professional relationships? I want to know them. I want to know who they are to make sure I trust them to put my name behind them. Any good advice or scripts? Or
absolutely. And Ryan, thank you for that question, because it's a fantastic one. And just a little heads up, cold calling does not work. Okay, just you need to think about the logic of it, right? You're asking to build a professional referral relationship, so you can't just call up a painter out of the blue, okay? But what you do is you go to a contractor and you say, hey, who's the best painter you know? And he's going to say, well, it's John Smith. And so you say, well, great, I need a good painter. Would you give me his number? Hey, John, this is Ryan. We have a mutual acquaintance in Rick, the realtor. And of course you wouldn't use Rick because you're the realtor, but you know what I'm saying. And I asked him who the best painter in town was. He said, you. I'm calling to find out how you got that reputation and if you're open to more business. Okay. So what you do is you connect the dots. All right. One good contractor is going to know another good contractor. And it is absolutely imperative that you use that connection to get in. By the way, you may have never done business with that contractor, but the painter doesn't know that.
Totally. And it
Okay.
makes sense that you're adding value to them kind of upfront. Like, oh, here's someone that needs a good painter.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, the painter is going to know a good drapery person, you know, and the painter is going to know a good sheetrock person and probably flooring person. Okay. But here's the thing that I want to also say. Have you guys heard that thing about A's attract A's, B's, B's, C's, C's? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, connectors will know other connectors. Okay. So I want you, the people that you really try to connect through are the ones that have the DNA for abundant referrals and professional introductions. Okay. So when you find somebody like that, they're gold, run with them, baby, and connect them. Find out, you know, a great question in closing to ask them is, who should be a great referral source for you? What professional category should be a great referral source for you and isn't? Okay. I want you to go on a mission to go find that professional and connect those two. All right, Rick, that's what I got for you for today.
Okay, Don, I cannot thank you enough, dude. This was amazing, really. Like, I'm getting text messages on my phone and the chats about how great this was. I know you're going to have some more wisdom for us when I ask you back next year. So appreciate that you take some time out of your very hectic schedule. Can everybody give Don a round of applause? Don, would you put in the chat if people need to reach you, maybe they want to hire you as a coach or check into other things you have? Would you put that in the chat for us?
Sure.
Yeah, Gary's over in Tennessee. Thank you for the information. Some things that I didn't think of. Have a groovy day. Yeah, so a lot of good comments here, Don, and I appreciate it more than I can tell you. So.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know, as I told you, I'm on a mission to arm all of us realtors with forks, okay? And also lessen your dependence on the likes of Zillow and companies like that that are trying to wedge themselves between you and the consumer. And if you follow this system, if you do like Lindsay, get yourself up north of 250, 300 clients in your sphere, and you communicate with them personally on a quarterly basis, you get a local professional network, and you build a network nationally, you can get 3 deals a month from that. One from your sphere, one from your local network, one national referral. You do that, you're an icon, man. In our model, that is gold.
Don, you put those numbers and text messages on a direct message to me instead of everyone in the meeting. Could you redo that real quick? Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Okay. Yeah. So Don at Pro Insight. And you guys, I know you're in Rick's organization or a guest of.
No. This is nothing to do with EXP at all. This call.
Oh, okay, cool.
Nothing at all.
All right.
No,
Well,
this is just everybody from all companies all over the United States, Canada. It's a call. People feel safe. We're not selling. We're not recruiting. We're just talking about how to improve lives and businesses here. So
I love that. I love it. Yeah. And you're on that vein. I do on Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific at proinsightwithdon.live. They can come, and I just do productivity. So no recruitment, just how do I sell more property? That's it. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, Pro Insight at
with Don.live.
Oh, okay.
I'll do it. Pro Insight with Dawn .live. And that is, again, that's Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's about 45 minutes long. I try to do a training or interview someone for about 30 minutes, and then we do interaction just like we did today. So, hey, Rick, thanks for having me. It's a
My
pleasure.
pleasure. My pleasure.
uh,
And we'll see everybody on the first Friday of April. And thank you all for being here and making it work. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care,
Have a
everybody.
good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.